Happy Friday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of You've Got to Be Sha Tinning Me. I am joined, as always, by Mr. Matt Carlson. Fresh off Take Your Child to Work Day.
I'm
I
tired,
remember,
man.
dude. So what's why? So I remember doing that as a kid, right? And I went to my dad's work, and my dad was a man. I was a tool and die maker and manual machinist, right? So like I was basically just like chilling in the factory in like his office, but I mean, I'm sure the inner workings of an insurance company sound great, but
this this fortunately was. I think the problem was it's chaos, right? Now I work in like our main office, so we have I don't know thousands of people around, right? And so there were just events all day, right? And none of it was work related, right? It was like I mean, he had like cotton candy, cookies, ice
I
cream,
saw the
like
cotton candy.
yeah, it's like just he made slime. Like I mean, none of it was like this was just basically like glorified daycare with like people just trying to get out of work. So um, but that means that I was running a daycare all day or like at least shuttling him around to those things. So, hey, I mean, look, it beat working except for the fact that now I got to do 2 days of work tomorrow. But oh well.
Luckily, it's Friday. No one does any work on
Yeah,
Friday,
no, it's fine.
anyways.
It's,
I laughed. Yeah, I saw the picture that you posted, and I just saw that big old thing of cotton candy, and I was like, man, his hands are gonna be so sticky
he was
from
just
that. Like,
covered
oh
all
my
day.
god, dude,
Just like his shirt was like a mess, like just covered in chocolate and sugar and all that. Just,
he's
no,
amazing.
not a care in the damn world, but means he had fun.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's so funny. Um, yeah, we know. Like we when I did that as a kid, there was definitely no cotton candy. It was basically like, don't get in the way, basically.
Yeah, that was mine too. Here, sit in this chair, do what you feel like, and don't talk to anybody. So
Yeah, I actually spent a couple summers working with my dad. So I drove a for or I drove a forklift and ran a machine, and worked maintenance. So I did a couple different things. I mean, like maintenance, I was just like cleaning bathrooms and stuff, and then like I helped put up drywall and fixed random stuff, basic stuff. But it was kind of cool because I think it gave me some basic like repair skills and working with tools and stuff, and like I mean, like my dad was so handy, like he would just do everything at the house, right? And like even if I tried to do, he's like, no, he's like, I'll do it, don't worry. So working there, like like just basic like helping hang 2x4s and hang drywall and like paint and stuff like that, and then like cuts, like just getting those skills actually and getting paid for it was actually kind of fun. And then like driving the forklift and stuff like that. But um, yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's different. It's I feel like it's different now. Like I don't know. I don't know how many kids are going to their working
I,
with their dads over the summer anymore
I
and
yeah,
working in factories and stuff like.
I a lot of people have been asking me today. They're like, "Wow, you're bringing your kid to work. Weren't those things canceled like 20 years ago?" I'm like,
Hmm.
"Yeah, probably." But hey,
So like there's a bunch of insurance companies out by you, right?
yes, we are. Hartford is the insurance capital of the world. Thrilling shit.
Mm,
But yeah, it was theoretically. I mean, that's what it was brought up as was the insurance
mm.
capital of the world.
I
So
thought I thought Bloomington Normal was,
I don't know.
or
Maybe.
Bloomington, Illinois, or Normal, Illinois, because what's there's a bunch of insurance companies out here, but they're uh because like isn't Allstate and State Farm, I think, are both based out of Illinois. I think
Yeah.
Allstate is up north and State Farm's down in Normal. But yeah, that's been your insurance minute here on You've Got to Be Shot to Me, sponsored by I don't know, Exacta Insurance or something. I'm sure some, yeah, anybody, any ADW out there that has any kind of insurance promo, we'd be happy to take that sponsorship. But we aren't sponsored. Well, we got AM Wager. Sign up for AM Wager if you haven't.
Shout
But
out Wager.
if you got time, just hit the like, hit the subscribe button. If you're listening to this on podcast form, go ahead and make sure that you're subscribed there. Set up auto downloads, and hey, if you got it on one, do it on the other too. It helps us out, helps get our numbers up a little bit, and get us recommended to more people. So, um, yeah, we're obviously we are focused on Hong Kong racing here, but we are a week and a half away from Derby. And yeah, man, I don't know. Any early thoughts on the Derby field or Derby at all, or are you gonna dig in more this week? Like,
I gotta put more time in, especially after last year where I spent a bunch of time to pick the last place horse. So I hope to achieve achieve that again. Um, yeah, I don't know. I gotta delve in a little bit more. I think I'm probably leaning towards the chalk at this point. Um,
I
I
think he
don't
looks
really
good.
like I don't really like Luxor Cafe, to be honest with you. I think having to go 5 wide in that Japan race, everyone's like, "Oh, look how wide he was," and I'm like, "It just looks like a horse that doesn't like kickback." So that's going to be a disaster, I think, for Luxor Cafe. But that's just me. Um, but otherwise, yeah, I gotta delve into some replays, and I think last year too. I think the problem was right, like you ended up with a massive track bias last year. I think you had to be on the rail, and I mean that's what I liked about Forever Young is he's the only horse that ran that wasn't kind of like nestled on the rail the whole way. Um, but I don't know if you get the same thing this year. TBD. I mean, the problem with Churchill kind of just running for a week and coming back is you don't really know what's going on, and it could have some wonky stuff. So we'll see, right? Uh, nothing yet. I'm sure you'll make me do another video where someone will call me an idiot for the next year and a half. But
Hey, nothing's as bad as that guy who I made the we did last year. We did the let's take every horse and do like a short on it, right? And I did the one for fierceness because I told the guys I'm like I want to do the fierceness one, and I believe the fierceness one was just called "Fierceness Will Not Win the Kentucky Derby," and there was a gentleman who replied and said, "Thank you for that. I just doubled my bet on fierceness." And so shout out that guy. I hope he did double that bet, and
that guy's
I
still getting airtime a year later. It's
I
great.
mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's funny. I like last year's Derby was so funny. So, like I said, I was at a party for the Derby, and we the guy who's hosting is actually my friend Matt. Matt and Carrie Lee host this party, and I'm actually staying at their place. I think next week, because I'm more than likely going to be at the Derby this year. But they host this Derby party with their neighbors, and Matt comes up to me, like frazzled, because he's like hosting this party. He's getting ready. He's gonna do a DJ set like at the end of the night, right? They had a band and stuff show up. Like this was a big thing, right? And so he's just like all over the place, like trying to make sure like people are having a good time, like refilling stuff. And like he's like, dude, at this point he's probably like three sheets to the wind already. And he's like, dude, I don't have a bet in for the Derby yet. And it was like 5-6 minutes to post. He's like, who do you like? He's like, just long shots. I only want long shots. And so I'm like, well, because like at that point I was on Honor Marie, Catching Freedom. Oh man, I'm already forgetting that. Forever Young, and who else did I have? I had Sierra Leone too. I had those. I thought it's gonna be coming from off the pace. But in third, I added a couple extra horses, one of them being Mystic Dan. And I was like, all the horses I like are kind of short prices. I'm like, honestly, I'm like, if you want to take a shot on a long shot, like, I think Mystic Dan will be good. And so today I had texted my friend Matt about a horse that ended up losing, and I'm like, hey, I hope you didn't see that. Hopefully you didn't catch that message. You didn't get a bet in, because I just keep on digging a hole through that Mystic Dan money I got you last year. That's just like because he went ahead. He bet. I forgot how much he had. It was either $50 or $100 to win on Mystic Dan. So he had a pretty good day. That was the literally the only bet he made all Derby day. So um, yeah, shout out to Mystic Dan last year, and shout out to Kenny McPeak on the Netflix show. I thought it was a pretty interesting. If you hadn't had a chance to watch it yet, but
I have not had a chance to see any of that yet, so that's by
it
tomorrow
was
since we're
entertaining.
recording this a little bit earlier. But
Yeah.
between that or catching up on Top Chef or something like that, I don't know. So
It was entertaining, right? Like I get there are people out there that are like, oh, they didn't show the betters and all this other bullshit, and it's like, dude, like, it's a
yeah,
Netflix show. It's supposed to be fun.
I'm
Like,
looking forward to watching it like with my wife, right? Because like
yeah,
I don't think I'm gonna get anything. I get to watch it. I forget what Full Swing or whatever the golf thing was,
mm-hmm.
right? Like I'm not learning anything from it, but
No,
it's cool. I'm watching something in 4K, right? Like great, awesome. Like sit down with a cocktail or three and
yeah,
have some
it's the
fun.
same thing. Like Drive to Survive is the same way, right? Like you actually watch
They're
the
all like that,
races. You
right?
actually
Yeah,
watch the races, and it's like, okay, cool. And then like you go back and you watch it, and like they talk about these like storylines and stuff that like maybe you didn't know about during the race or whatever. But like, it's not the same as just like watching the race and like the day to day and everything like that. And like I said, like I'm of the mind, right? And I mentioned this on Drinking Champagne. I was like, look, you know, people watch. There's a ton of people that watch the NFL, right? There's a ton of people who bet on the NFL, right? Um, the more eyes on it, the more money that's bet on it. And like I get it, right? This is a gambling game. This game does not exist without gambling. Gambling is very, very important, if not the most important thing with horse racing. However, just by chance, the more eyes that get on the horse racing, the more money it's going to go through it, right? It doesn't matter. It's just how it is. And granted, yeah, maybe it's not going to be, we're not going to get, guys who are churning six figures, right, every year. We're not going to get those betters, right? But I mean, you get enough of those betters that are churning, you know, a couple grand on the big days. I mean, that's going to make an uptick in that handle, and the uptick in that handle, I think, eventually probably trickles down to other days, right? I, I mean, I don't know. It's tough, man. Like I like trying to like see a way forward with some of this without seeing a bunch of contraction and other stuff. Like I don't know. It's dark, but why don't we get to more positive things, which is this card here at Sha Tin, since we went completely off the rails. Yeah. So Champions Day, right? We got a couple grade ones or group ones. Um, so I figured we talk through them briefly. I don't think from a betting perspective they're super interesting, but I mean, we should talk about them nonetheless. So race five, the Chairman Sprint Prize. You see Kai Ying Rising is looming large, like he has been in all 14 of his lifetime starts, with 12 wins in 2 seconds. And yeah, I mean, there are some nice horses in this race, um, but I mean, we're talking we need to see like just a C effort here, I think, and then we need to see a step forward. I mean, really, I think the only horse that kind of makes a little bit of sense maybe is the two, Satono Rev. Um, I think if this horse runs back to his last effort, and we see a very large regression in Kaying Rising, um, maybe there's some crossover there, and you make a case for it, but I don't know what I mean. What are you thinking? You're thinking I'm just taking a shot with a second choice here, anyways, right? Like I I often feel like when trying to beat a favorite, the worst way to try to beat a favorite is with the second choice. I always feel like not it's not a very lucrative play. So I don't know. Um, I I went back and forth, like but this is gonna be a fun race to watch. Probably not bet. What do you think, Matt?
yeah, probably the same. I mean, to me, right? Like I don't. I mean, yeah, Satono Rev maybe, but to me, that horse isn't as good as Kying Rising, right? I mean, Kying Rising already beat him, and I think all the other Japan runners aren't as good as Satono Rev. So they're kind of a wash. I mean, the only other chance I think you might have in this race, if Kiting Rising runs like you said, a C or D effort, is if Lucky Swain S off of a year plus layoff finds lightning in a bottle, right? Like gets back to his old form, but that's been a while, right? Like I don't think you really want a horse that's been laid up for over a year that wasn't running all that well before that layoff, coming back first up. But I mean, where else are you going to go in here, right? I mean, you're going to get 1 to 9. You're going to get 210 to win. You're going to get $2.02 to show. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's not that exciting a betting race, but it's what Counting Rising is, right? I mean, even when he bounces, the B efforts are still good enough by a couple lengths over these horses. So, okay,
Yeah,
take your money and run.
and Lucky Sweetness is what gone off basically gone off the favorite in every single one of his races. Um, like
Yeah, I mean, the layoff's going to help a little bit. You get J Mac up, right? I mean, he's going to
yeah,
be somewhat of a price, I guess. I mean, it's a weird position, right? I mean, like I always say in the 5th and 10th race, right? Like if you're playing I mean, just to get even worse value on this, if you're going to play the early pick 3, right? Like you only get 80% of your money or whatever it is to play Kiting Rising. Like somebody else pays the consolation in this race, which is
hmm
weird. Um, but it's almost like who do you think's going to finish second? And you might get paid more for that. I forget. Maybe it was even Wednesday where like the consolation paid like 5 times as much as the actual
yeah,
win because you got some just absolute bomb in second place. I don't know if there's any absolute bombs in here because it's just not that deep a field. But hey, if you find someone that you like to muck up for second, when Kiting Rising is galloping sideways or whatever to the win,
yeah,
maybe that's your play instead. I don't know, but
yeah.
yeah,
You remember what the injury was with Lucky Sweetness?
I have no clue. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean he was going very very well at 1200, and they took a couple shots I think, or they took at least one shot going 1400 that didn't really work out. Um, but yeah, he was going really well. Traded I think a couple of or traded a win with I think Victor the Winner. And Victor the Winner was another one that was kind of running pretty well. But yeah, you got this long layoff. Like I mean, we've talked
Yeah,
about it. We've talked about it, right? Like they don't run these horses off the long layoff. Like if they're not sound and not good. Like, um, but I mean, you're turning back the clock here, year and a half, 18 months at least.
yeah,
Uh,
he's coming off fetlock surgery according to the vet report.
yeah,
So I
but
forget if that was like an incident or just came up lame or what. But yeah, like the day after racing, it was like came up lame and then had surgery. So if you want a horse off fetlock surgery against the best sprinter in the world, sure, go nuts.
anything else in here?
No.
Yeah. We'll skip over race 6 here and we'll go to race 7, the Champion Mile here. We're going to be going 1,600 meters to 1 turn mile. This is another race that's going to have a very short price favorite, I believe, in the 2 voyage bubble. Um, right, is coming off of 4 straight wins, a Group 2 and 2 Group 1 or 3 Group 1s. Um, your favorite jockey ever, James McDonald rides here. It's the horse has been favored the last 3 races in these Group 1 races and has not really ever looked looked to really be challenged in those races. And yeah, you get a couple of you get a lot of horses in here that have kind of been running with him. Um, I maybe tried to make a case for the one Mr. Brightside in here as kind of an alternative. You get Craig Williams here. Riding. This is a horse that's been running in Australia. Has been running in Group 1s, and kind of trading wins, right? Is first, second, first, second. I mean, this is a horse, really, really good form, right? It's the horse that's, been finishing second and first in all these Group 1s, in the money. Just a very, very consistent horse. I just, I don't know. I, I think he's got maybe like 2 races that maybe fit in here with what Voyage Bubble has been running, but you're looking at races from the end of last year, right? So I don't know. I do think this is a horse that's going to appreciate the staying at the 1600, right? This is a horse that they've tried um, various amounts of distances, right? Going to 2000, going 1600, going 1400. It's got wins at all kinds of distances. Is very, I think, very versatile type, and is one that's also won in a bunch of different grounds, right? Has gone on good, has gone on heavy. So I think this is kind of versatile. Like this is a horse I think is gonna he's gonna run a good race. I just don't know if the race is gonna be good enough to win. Probably one maybe watch the price on. Um, would be one I would want to use in the Quinella depending on what it's paying with Voyage Bubble. But once again, like, am I just telling you to play the top two choices? I mean, that might be how it's working out. But I like Mr. Brightside a little bit, but I think Voyage Bubble is going to be kind of tough to beat.
Yeah, I think I've bet against Voyage Bubble the past like 4 or 5 races, probably four. Like every time he's won, and I'm like, oh, this is the race I'm going to get him. And he always just does enough to win. And I mean, I think you know part of the problem with this race is it doesn't connect to anything, and it's boring if I just bet Voyage Bubble. But I do think Voyage Bubble, whatever price you get, is probably worth it, right? Like he's probably going to win this race. The only other horse that I thought I would take a wild swing at in here is the 5 Beauty Joy. And the only reason for that is on my stuff. The last fig kind of stands out, like breaking a little bit wide, closes into a really slow pace. Granted, that's at 1400. Now he's running against, some of the best milers in the world. So that's not all that appealing. But you'll get a massive price. And if you squint really hard, you're like, okay, maybe, right? I don't know. I mean, that's really grasping at straws to be like, okay, that horse could do something in here. But I don't know. He has some races I think that could fit. And if he's kind of back on the form, granted he's an 8-year-old horse, right? But like if you see a horse kind of regaining a little bit of form on that, kind of second up, third up, off of a little bit of a break, maybe. I don't know. Again, that's a really big stretch, but just kind of looking for something else in here besides Vet and Voyage Bubble, who's going to be really short, right? I mean, to me, like you'll get the same price on Voyage Bubble as you might on Kaying Rising, and he's not that much of a lock comparatively compared to what I think Kaying Rising is. So I'd be willing to take a shot, but not that big a shot. So I'll probably have a little bit of money on the 5, but just some kind of unserious, like just in case money, not
Yeah.
anything all that much.
Yeah, I tried to make case for Beauty Eternal, being able to run back to what he ran here last time at last year in the Champions Mile. Was able to win with Zach aboard, wide draw, won at 12-1. Um, but I mean, I don't know. He just hasn't run well basically since then. Just completely gone off. Loses Zach, right? You get Edzeni aboard, who's like your kryptonite. So I don't even. Um, but yeah, I thought like I said, I was grasping at straws. He's one that's got some back races. I mean,
Yeah, I think he didn't steal it on the front end, and I know the last two are weird because he really hasn't gotten the lead,
yeah.
and I don't know what's happened if, and I haven't watched a ton of replays on that to see like, okay, is it something that
I mean,
was it just a
Edzeni's gotten the
start or
board.
yeah, that's true, led weight out of the gate, I guess, but I mean, it's just weird because like Zach was sending him every time and kind of faded out the back, but I think that's your chance in this race if you were going to say, hey, someone might steal it, would be like Edzeni's got to send, but I don't know, I
Yeah.
don't know if he does, so.
Anything else in this race?
I don't think so. It's not all that exciting, unfortunately.
All right. Well, let's get to our bread and butter late pick three here. The QE2 Cup, 2,000 meters here. Got a grade one race. Um, and I'll let you go first. Where did you land here?
Yeah, I tried to get around Goliath, probably stupidly. but I just don't trust Sumion here all that much, and I think his races just don't stand out all that well to me. So I went two different places. I went to the two Prognosis. I think if Prognosis is on form, he's the best horse in this race. Now, granted, the last two races indicate that he might not be even close to on form, right? I don't know what's happened those last two. I think the only appealing thing, right, is like he's only before those last two lost pretty respectively to some big time horses, right? Like finishing a pretty close second to Via Sistina, close second to Romantic Warrior, close second to or third to Equinox, right? I mean, those are like world class horses, right? Not just like those are top of the top, right? And so if you see a horse that's competitive with that, I mean, that's class of the class to me, right? Um, but I do think there's some concern that this horse is washed too, right? Like the last two, maybe, who knows what's happened, right? Like if this horse is washed up, he could run out the back. It's comforting to me that Zach gets up and maybe he was pointing here. I mean, I do think, in my mind, he probably would have pointed to that race two back in Yuri McKinnon, but I don't know, maybe not. So I don't really know what to do with Prognosis, but I do think on form he's the most talented in this race, even more talented than Goliath to me. So I'll probably have money through Prognosis. The only other horse that I wanted to take a pretty big swing at, and granted this is another huge stretch, would be the 8 Moments in Time, right? And I think the reason for that is I've seen a lot of these horses run kind of two turns, and my opinion on Hong Kong horses running two turns. It's not their strength, right? So I'm like, okay, where else would I want to go? And Moments in Time to me is a horse that has looked better at two turns. Granted, like some of those Happy Valley races, like, okay, you don't really know. Yeah, I go way, way back. Probably not even. It might be on your past performances, or it might be too far back. But eh, I think it's 11 back and 12 back races was the last time he ran two turns at Sha Tin, right? And they were both at 2,400, and they look great. They're really good races. Granted, he got the lead and kind of just faded out to a fourth place finish in both of those, but they were Group One races, right? Or one's a Group Three and one's a Group One, and those look really good. And on Figs alone, I think those are the nicest looking races to me. And he kind of hasn't run two turns at Sha Tin since. So, you get Zhao aboard. Marrero knows this track, right? I mean, maybe he's gearing up for the Derby next week and investing all his time into that, and he'll forget how to ride on turf. But I think at least this horse is one that will get lost in the shuffle. And again, for me, who always looks for a price, I'm looking for horses that are getting lost, right? What am I seeing that other people aren't? And so to me, that's the one that I'd probably want to play just from a value perspective in here. Um, because I think, again, this is what this horse wants to do. So give me give me Prognosis hoping to rebound to form, and give me Moments in Time hoping that, he has some form kind of running two turns at Sha Tin, and this is where that horse wants to be.
Yeah, I like Goliath in here. Um, Obviously, you kind of got to put a line through the last race, and I think cutting back might help a little bit from that last race. But yeah, I mean, I think any of the races two and three back, I mean, those obviously look really, really good. I mean, heck, even the Hardwick Stakes, I think, looks really good. Um, but I couldn't, in good conscience, just single the horse because I, I do think there's a little bit of a question, like, does he really want 2,000? Uh, I mean, I don't know. I think, like I said, like his 2,400 races have been good. I don't know what like I said happened last time. You're taking a horse coming off of a bad race, coming off of a layoff. Um, but I don't know. This seems like this was the plan. I know Resolute was pretty excited. I think to send him over for this. So um, yeah, I don't know. I think the best out of this horse is obviously the best in this race, but it'll be interesting to see what we get. I kind of like the 11 Liberty Island. And this is another one where like you kind of gotta like squint a little bit, right? but this is the horse that they kind of, I don't know if it's just, they don't know what they like, what distance to run this horse, if they're just like, or they just think that this horse can run in every distance, because this is a horse that they've tried 1600, they've tried 2000, they've tried 2400, they've tried like 1800. They're going back and forth on what they want to do, and obviously this is a horse that was last seen in the Dubai turf, and was bet down pretty decently, was like 7.5 to 1 or so, and that was a race that Soul Rush won, beating Romantic Warrior. Now, what's important to note about this horse is this is the horse that ran second to Romantic Warrior in the Hong Kong Cup. And they're romantic. We're not seeing Romantic Warrior the rest of the season, right? I think they're probably pointing to a race. I think sometime in December. At this point, is I think what the last I saw is they're basically gonna give him a break after running in that Dubai turf. Um, but yeah, I mean, you're telling me that you got a horse that's run second to Romantic Warrior going this trip here. Um, you know, maybe has just not gotten the shipping to Maidan, is always tough. Like I said, we're making a lot of excuses here, right? There's a lot of bad form in there, but I don't know. I like the fact that this is the horse that ran second in Romantic Warrior, is a horse that has been able, like, was great as a 3 year old. And yeah, I don't know. I think that the mare might be able to pull an upset here. So yeah, so I like Liberty Island here a little bit. And I'm gonna use Goliath for one. Anything else in this race?
Oh, I mean, Liberty Island, I think look good on paper, except for the fact I don't like horses shipping out of Dubai. Right? I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's a tough trip. So
Yeah, I'm curious what price we get on Liberty Island.
yeah,
Um,
fair.
technically the lowest, I think the lowest rated horse in the field. But this is also a horse that spent a lot of time running against fillies. So, um, I don't know how that kind of goes into the rating system, but I mean, like, this is the horse that ran second to Equinox. This is the horse that ran third behind Rebels Romance in Dubai. Like, there's some good form there, and then, like I said, there's some bad races in there too. So I think it's a little dirtied up, but I think on her day, is definitely, I think, dangerous. So, um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what price we get. But I thought she could be interesting here. Um, Race 9 here, the Insurance NCB handicap, 1600 meters. We got Class 3 racing, and yeah, I landed on Brendan Avdullah on the rail, the 6 star Mac, named after Matt Carlson's favorite jockey, James McDonald. Okay, probably not, but yeah, I like Star Mac in here. I think this is a case of a horse that um, is getting a good draw. I think got a bit of a tough start last time out, and still would manage to rally for third in that one. And yeah, I just like, I see a horse that's had a tough trip, had a bad draw the race before, is getting the rail here, isn't picking up any weight. I thought that the 6 star Mac could definitely take a step forward from that, and I really liked in this spot. And I think you'll get a pretty decent price, right? I don't think this is going to be like your favorite by any stretch of the imagination. Um, the My two B's is the 14 Good Luck Babe. Um, Speed, inside drawn speed, right, coming out of the four hole, and won that race last time out from the rail. It gets Karis Teeton aboard. This is losing 14 pounds, but is moving up in class. Um, I think these speed horses sometimes, even with the bump up in class, can be kind of dangerous, especially with the low weight. So I like the 14 Good Luck Babe. This looks like a horse that, I mean, this horse has been in good form the last couple races. Granted, like I said, it was class 4 racing. And, it does have 3 starts in this class, and none of them were very good. But, this is a 4 year old at this point, right? So I think maybe it was just more of a, moved up too fast. or needed to kind of go back down to kind of learn a couple things, and now is coming back up. So I like the 14 Good Luck Babe here as a B. And I mean, this is a horse that's gone off at 50 to 1, 35 to 1 a bunch, the one Tourbillon Prince. Um, and Zach gets aboard, which I think is pretty wild. But I don't know. This is a horse that I- hasn't really hasn't really threatened for wins, but on the stuff I've looked at, the races look fast. Or they look fast enough to win, particularly at this level. So this could just be a case of the fact that, hey, this is a horse that's finally getting knocked down to the right level. This is a horse that's got 4 wins, 3 seconds, and a third in Class 3. Um, and so maybe just got to Class 2 and just was outmatched completely. Um, and the fact that Zach gets aboard, right? This, like I said, this is a horse that's taken absolutely zero money the last couple starts. So of course, this is a horse that's going to go off at like 7 to 2 because Zach's aboard and is just going to win going away after being 35 to 1 the race before. But gets a good draw, right? I think it has been was a victim of the draw lottery a little bit last time, so gets a better draw here. So yeah, so I like Tourbillon Prince here. Got him as a B, but yeah, my top pick is going to be the 6 Star Mac. Where did you land, Matt?
Yeah, same as you. I thought Star Max set up pretty well in this race. I mean, I think I'm always hesitant to throw out speed and say, "Hey, something's going to melt," right? Like I've talked about this before, where you kind of say, "Oh, look, there's two or three speed horses in here. They're going to duel, and it's going to set up a certain way." Because I think there's just too many variables where sometimes that doesn't happen. So if you're looking for coverage, I do think a horse like Tourbillon Prince is usable. I also think a horse like the 8 Turn Star Spangled is usable. I do think the 14 potentially is usable. The problem is they all kind of look like the same horse, where that horse goes out to first and fades back to fourth or fifth, right? So if you have 3 horses that want to do that, I do think it sets up for a closer. Kind of my concern with Starmac is the same thing there, where that horse just was one thing, right? He goes to last and he tries to close in deep, and if he can't get there, it's kind of a problem. But look, he's drawn really well. It's on the A course, which theoretically should be the fairest configuration, right? Like you can close, you can go wide and be okay. Signs kind of point to him. I don't know what price you get, but he does map better, I think, than most of this field. So that's kind of my primary choice in here. I do also think the 10 Family Jewel has very similar races that do fit in here. I think he's probably a little muddied up because if you look, that horse jumped up to class 3 and then immediately did something different, right? Like he was winning really, really well at a mile, and then they ran him at 2000. Again, I don't know if that's just, yeah, I mean, he's 4, so maybe they were looking for, Hong Kong Derby or whatever. But then they, ran him at 1800 a couple times. I don't know, again, if that's just like, hey, they couldn't find a mile race to run or what. I just think it's too long, right? And I do think the mile is where this horse wants to be. And so I think getting back to a mile is appealing to me. Again, you get Marrero aboard, which is always a positive. Maybe, right? I don't know what price you get on this horse either, but I do think those class 4 mile races do look fast enough to win this. When you compare them to whoever else is in this race, plus you will get a setup, I think, kind of on those horses on the lead. So I'll use the 10 as an A as well in here. The only other horse that I thought maybe had a chance was the 13 Morgan Success. And granted, this horse is drawn terribly. But, right, I mean, I kind of always look for those, hey, lightweight, fourth up, kind of has been improving, right? Showed something last out to, kind of run a bit better. And, to me, those are always question marks of like, hey, is this horse actually moving forward, right? Is there something in the tank that this horse will show kind of running that fourth race in Hong Kong, right? So, Morgan's success was one, I think, just on kind of those angles that probably haven't been working all that well this season. But hey, going back to the well a little bit, that I'd want to use, right? Look kind of ripe for those fourth up angles. And like I said, even though he's drawn wide, this is the A configuration. Kind of that wide draw doesn't matter as much. So has a little bit more of a chance than if this was like the C+3 to me. So I'll use probably the 13 as a B and just kind of toss out all the speeds. And if someone breaks bad and the speeds end up getting out easy leads, then I'm probably screwed. But oh well.
All right, race 10, the Wing Lung Bank Handicap here. Class 3 racing once again. We are be going 1,400 meters, the unicorn distance. Where did you land here?
Yeah, I like Silvery Breeze probably best in here. Now, granted, this is the horse that injured Zach, I think, last time, right? This is the horse that fell and broke Zach's toe. So,
Mhm.
hey, they're both back at the same time, or around the same time, give or take. But, I mean, look, before this horse fell, kind of had a horrific run of draws, right? I mean, this is, was some pretty bad luck. Finally got a draw, got Zach aboard, and, then crashed out as soon as he was able to draw inside of the, 12 post, right? Or whatever, right? He had that 14, 11, 12 draws. So it's drawn much better here. Hopefully, it doesn't kill Karis Teton like he tried to do against Zach. But hey, again, both those horses the horse and jockey came back okay. So we can talk about it. Ton of talent, right? And if he's right off, kind of that fall, right? The layoff's a concern coming off of that. But if all is well, I think it probably has the most talent in this race. So that's where I'll go kind of primarily in here as my A. A couple others I liked. I like the 9, another Zonda. Again, I think just you see a horse to me that on my stuff has been improving every, time out. Granted, has had the benefit of kind of some fast paces, does pick up a lot of weight, having to move up in class in this, but lightly raced horse that's improving kind of off some bad draws further in now, maybe, right? And I do think because of the class jump, look, the prices on these were massive before, and this horse has kind of kept improving every single time to, you know, run well. So you should get an even larger price in class 3 with the jump. So I, do want to use that horse just given I don't think I know what the horse's peak is yet, right? Could just be one that continues to run better and better. So I'll use him. And then the 10 everyone's star. I mean, just kind of rinse and repeat from last race where if you have a horse that to me has been competitive, is kind of hitting that fourth up race and finally gets a better draw, right? Like that horse hadn't been drawn inside 8 yet and now gets the rail. That's always an angle that I'm just probably going to play, right? Like regardless of, whether the horse runs out the back or whatever, right? Like there's just too many circumstances to me that I'm like, hey, these are like horses that I look for. So just got to go back to the tried and true. So yeah, the 10 everyone star, I think I'll be on my tickets as well. But I think most of my money in here will be through Silvery Breeze, hoping that he's kind of best up coming off that layoff and coming off the fall last out.
Yeah, I do like your top pick in here, the 3 Silvery Breeze. I'm a sucker for a band off or fallen horse, whatever. In this case, coming back, I totally agree with you. Right, this is a horse that when it was drawn on the rail, won by half length. Beat a horse in Beauty Crescent, who's a pretty decent horse, and then just lost the draw lottery 3 times in a row. Comes back and obviously had the issue last time out, but um, it's been laid up for 2.5 months. Seems healthy. Karis Teton gets back aboard. Yeah, I like Silver Breeze. I have that horse as a B in this case. Um, I like the 4 Endeared in this race here. Um, you know, Now this horse last time finished third um, with Brendan Abdullah aboard. Was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of a weird trip. Take a look at that race. I think there was a little bit of um, maybe just didn't get as clean of a trip. I think as the horse probably wanted. Was much further back. I think um, than where I think Craig is going to have him in this race. Obviously, like I said, ridden him before, was much closer than Brendan had this horse. So I do like the jock change. Obviously, still going to get kind of a wide draw. But I think if this horse can run back to the last effort on the A course, I think is going to be tough to beat in here. And then I also like the 1 Charming Legend. I mean, J Mac aboard. Uh, you know, has had Hugh Bowman the last two times. I think this is a horse that has has back races that fit in here, um, and yeah, I just think that this getting the jock upgrade here, I think is just going to really help out in this case, and this is kind of a versatile type, right? This is the horse that's been up right on the lead and has run well, and is also a horse that's been coming from pretty far off of it, and has run okay. I do think that this is a horse that I think wants to be a little bit more forwardly placed than he has been the last couple of starts. And J Mac getting back aboard, hustled him out from the 10 post, 5 back. I think you're going to probably get a similar ride here. So I like the one Charming Legend, and endeared most, I'm going to be using the 3 Silvery Breeze as a B. And then the number 12 Beauty Glory, also have this horse in here as a B. I mean, I love my speed, and we got inside drawn speed here. This is um, this is, his drew the 2 post last time, ran well, lost to horse in Hong Luck Golf, um, but I mean, maybe could have broke from the gate a little bit cleaner. You get Alexi Bedell here, and get the same post, and maybe you get a little bit of a jock upgrade here. So you might be able to get maybe out a little bit cleaner. I don't know. I just know that this horse has got one way to go. It's to the front. And depending on the track's playing, sometimes you get a little bit of a highway out there. Maybe maybe you can get this 2 out, or this 12 Beauty Glory out there loose on the lead, but um, have that one as a B as well. Staying on brand.
Got to go for it, right? 3 cherry special.
Exactly. Hey, I'll tell you, man. Last week, uh, I had a really nice hit with. Oh man, it's a turf horse I bet all the time at Santa Anita. Mike Smith was aboard. Oh God, why am I blanking? Oh my goodness,
I
this
think
is
I bet it as well, but I can't remember the name of it.
why
But
it ran in the Breeders' Cup turf. Oh my goodness, why can I not remember the horse? But anyways, Mike Smith just goes wire to wire in that race, and just like absolutely saves my Cabo Spirit. Thank you,
there you go.
Cabo
Yeah,
Spirit.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it goes wire to wire and just absolutely saves my weekend. Like, because I had win money and I hit a double with him, and I was just like, oh, thank goodness. It was such, dude. I had a whirlwind weekend last weekend. Like, I don't know. I was up and down, and like, but we're healthy. We got a healthy bankroll going into Derby next week, and going into Champions Day here. So, um, but that's going to do it for us here, and you've got to be Sha Tinning me. Obviously, check us out at onthewronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. Like, subscribe, download. I am at Cherry Drank. Matt is at Slow and Steadied. He'll have his full card picks up at some point on Saturday, and yeah, let's make some money, guys. Have a good weekend.